With 4 million sounds, what will you create? Take the free trial today.
Hello, welcome to the last of our live performances on Superbooth. I've done it fancy. Look, I've got the little graphics. I had a little bit of time to prepare. I hope you've been watching and enjoying our Superbooth coverage. We're pretty much done now, so this is kind of the last thing, and I'm very pleased to welcome Mr. Matthew Hodson, MATTHS. How are you doing, Matt? You good?
I'm good, thank you very much, Nick. Yes, not too bad. Trying to stay sane in all this lockdown, as you know.
Well, I know it's difficult, isn't it? But I mean, Matt, if you don't know, he's regular on Sonic Talk. He's an educator at BIMS down there in Brighton. He's also quite a prolific performer. He did a gig for Superbooth on Friday night and was supposed to be playing there. Obviously, none of us are able to do that, but we've tried to bring you the spirit of it all. How did your Superbooth gig go?
Yeah, it was good. Some really good feedback on that one. And thanks again to the Superbooth crew for inviting me to play again. I played last year. Obviously, you came along, you did a little video for us. That was nice. And I played with a live drummer, a guy called Scott. And that was where I was experimenting more, playing with the modular and live drums. I was really interested in bringing sort of acoustic drums and electronic music together. So we did that last year. We got rained off. We had to come inside, and I was meant to play there this year. So they asked me to do a little video, which is up online. You can go check it out on their Superbooth website. There's some really great performances on there. I don't know if you've caught any of the other ones, Nick. But
I've been a tad busy, but so no, not really. I did see a little bit, and I mentioned this yesterday when we did the Sonic Talk with Ben and Bo Beats and whatnot, and Div Kid. And Robin Vincent. There was, I think she's called Modular Princess, I think maybe from India, and did this modular performance with some vocals that were recorded in this massive sort of underground, this tunnel, and it was really, really good.
Amazing.
Actually. Yeah.
So
there is a ton. If you go to superbooth.com, check the Superbooth Vimeo, check our site. We've got, I don't know, 40 videos up, something like that. We've got plenty of you. If you've only just catching up on this, we've tried to bring you a flavour of it all. Matt, what have you got to plug? Have you got any EPs or albums out? Where can people buy your stuff?
Oh, crikey. Well, my first double A-side vinyl came out last year, actually almost a year to the day, I think, on Fat Cat Records, FCR. You can still get that on record. And I've been quite busy. I've been doing a lot of things like writing stuff for adverts and TV and moving images, something else that I do. And I've just got back around to resetting up my studio and working on some ideas. I've had some really great ideas to be working on for my new stuff. So at the minute, there is, like I mentioned, the EP that came out last year. There's my solo album as well called Detach, which has got, it's modular. There's some live drums, modular stuff on there. Chris Hardwick, great drummer, worked with me on that. And there's a few music videos. If you go check those out on my YouTube channel, and if you want to head over to my YouTube channel after this, obviously, there's lots of live streams, broadcasts where I'm messing around with this kind of stuff in my studio, and I'm recording a lot of these things as well. A lot of these things hopefully will make it out into the light of day, because at the minute, most of what you can hear of mine is through the YouTube bit crushed algorithm or in mono on Instagram or whatever. So I'm looking forward to bringing you some of this stuff in high quality, full res.
Absolutely, I'm into that. I would like to point out we did manage to figure out how to get it stereo today. We didn't with Scanner, but we have just uploaded a stereo mix version. If you saw the original, they link to each other in. So if you look at the Scanner one, so Matt, you're going to take it. We're going to play a little tune, and we'll have a little chat, then we'll have another tune. How long's this tune? Just so I know when to start waving at you if you're getting lost in music.
The jams. The thing is, the way that I'm working is I set up little lines and what have you, and the music can last as long as it feels right, going from one section to another. So sometimes these jams can last between 5 to 10 minutes long, but I'll try and keep it shorter than that.
That's all right. 10 minutes is absolutely acceptable. I just thought, if you're going to like half an hour and then you were lost, and I was going. Because we didn't. This is what you call live production, because we didn't discuss this beforehand.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess maybe it might run to about 10 minutes, and then afterwards if anyone's there in the chat room or whatever, and they want to ask me any questions, I can change the camera so we can get in and have a look at the modular. And I'm also using Bitwig as a software, which I could talk about more as well if you've got any questions on that kind of thing as well.
Excellent. Well, as I was able to say yesterday to Scanner, okay, Matt, why don't you take it away?
Thank you.
Sounded great. What I heard of it, we just want to say we will upload a recorded version of this just because we can, and it will be better. So we had to switch to Zoom at the last minute, and it's not necessarily the finest vehicle for stereo mixes. That sounded great. Heavy. Was your idea to make that heavy?
Yeah, it was a bit. Yeah, well, it's Sunday, innit? And it's the end of the Superbooth weekend. So I'm a man of extremes now. I don't like to mess around when it comes to this sort of thing. So it was meant to sound distorted, by the way.
Okay. Well, so just take us through what you were running there. Was there a sort of that main kind of riff? What was driving that? It sounded like it was layered, but
yeah. Okay. Well, I'll jump over to here, so you should be able to see the modular, and then I can.
Can we have a little more level on your mic, if that's all right?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. 1, 2. Ba, 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 ba. How's that?
Yeah,
all
that's
right?
better. Yeah. Thank
Cool.
you.
Yeah. So well, everything's pretty much within this rack being driven from this oscillator here, the VCO6 from Schweiman, and that gets sent into its own filter, but it also gets sent to distortion, this Strackel-Brulu, through its own filter. It also gets sent to a stereo reverb and then into a distortion. Actually, this the Roland Torcido here.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, not many people are using these, and I think they're really underrated. I think they're really cool. They're stereo for a start, and I've actually created my own bespoke patch in here, because that's what you can do. You can plug it into an editor, and basically say what all of these inputs and outputs do. So I've inside of here, I've kind of like got a distortion going into a distortion, with a VCA and a filter on it and that kind of thing. So essentially, yeah, I've got the main riff, which is being sent from that oscillator into multiple places, and then opening and closing the various filters, giving me different rhythms and things like that, basically. So it's a quick way of deriving interesting sequences from very basic musical ideas, basically.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. That's got a lovely. Hello. Over.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Got me?
Yeah, I think it's having trouble with your mic and the audio at the audio and the it can't.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, if I can turn this up a little bit so I can hear what we're doing, but if I just play, I've got lots of mixers going on as well here. You might notice these IntelliGel mix-ups, and these allow me to sum. So for example, I've got different bass oscillators being summed into here. I use them as little mixers, and I've got these little switches so you can turn them on and off as well, little mutes, which are really handy for performance. So all the bass sounds, like the oscillator on its own, gets sent to this one. Then I've got a sub bass going into this one. This one's got this Torcido stereo. Then there's also a fourth input, which is a reverb going into a distortion, which is stereo. And that goes into that then all sums into its own filter, this Overseer by WMD, which is high pass and low pass in one go. So it allows you to do those kind of DJ filter sweeps, take out the low end, create a rise, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That then all feeds into another mixer where I've got percussion going on. That then all goes into this compressor by WMD, actually, this tiny little stereo compressor with a sidechain input. Obviously, you can hear a lot of pumping going on, a lot of sidechain compression going on, and that's all coming from the kick drum, obviously, which is being sent to that compressor sidechain input and just creating loads of pumping, that kind of thing, which is a big part of the sound, because I've got a lot of reverbs going on, a lot of delays. It's kind of a big immersive sound. If you was in here between the speakers and I had this cranked, it's quite full on. And I think that's where my sound's kind of going, to this quite an extreme immersive sound, if you like, but you've still got to add control to that, and sidechain obviously is an easy way
sort of
to kind of
clears the room, clears the space, I suppose. Yeah.
So it's a handy little module there for that kind of thing.
Excellent. And so I noticed you've got Bitwig there in the background as well. Is that what's that doing in this instance? What's the actual?
Yeah, so I can share my screen with you guys.
Okay.
So I'll do that now. Share screen. So you should be able to see Bitwig.
Yep. There it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in Bitwig, for example, I've got so these are the only notes that are really being played from the
Is that
sequencing.
do? Is that interval? Right.
Yeah, check that out. I mean, that's it. If you collapse that down, actually, F, F, and G sharp. I mean, that's that's not even right in itself, but it sort of works. But I think what the interesting thing that happens when you start breaking up triggers from the pitches. So what I mean by that is I'm sending these pitches out, F, F, G sharp, but what's actually happening to the envelope opening and closing that the filter that's going through is happening in grid here. So I've actually this is a cool little sequencer you've just got running in the grid in Bitwig, which allows you can actually change the number of steps in there. So I've got 8 steps going. This is a new feature actually, you can interpolate as well.
Oh, nice.
That's new in version 3.2, which I'm running, which is a beta. So I really like that, because before that happened, you had to go in and get something like not an attenuator, but you maybe get like slope. That's it. Add a slope in there, and that would
yeah, okay.
And you got to slope up and you got to slope down as well. I really love the grid, by the way. I love this. I think it's been such a great thing to get into, coming from the background of using things like Ableton Live and Max for Live and coding and stuff like that, which is my background as well. The grid is such a great place to come up with these ideas. So as you can see, this is just simply coming out of output 2, which comes to the ESA on my modular, which then goes to open and close the filter. So that, going back to what I was saying, this sequence isn't listening to the notes that are being played at all. It's just free running, but it is synced to the BPM. And then in addition to that, I might then also have this envelope also going to the same output. So I'm summing what's a very simple attack decay envelope, which would just be triggered by MIDI notes. And I'm summing that with something like this sequencer that's happening. And you can get really interesting stuff going on. I mean,
so is that coming out as CV, that or just control voltages? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just coming out as CV. In fact, there's another way you could actually build it in here. So I could get this, and I could get a mixer. Sorry, I don't want this to turn into a Bitwig tutorial, but just to quickly show you, you could take an envelope here, trigger the envelope from these gates, and then you could add them together in a mixer, and then basically mix between whether you're just getting this input or whether you're getting this input here. And
right,
I think that's when the interesting things happen, Nick, is when you start adding and subtracting envelopes to and from each other. I think that's when you start getting these really interesting things going on. And that's pretty much how a lot of this is working within the box.
What audio interface are you using that's DC coupled, just out of interest?
Yeah, so I've got the Expert Sleepers ES8, and that gives me 8 channels of CV or gate out, and I've got the Expander, which is the ES3, and that gives me another 8 outputs as well. So I've got 16 CV or gate, and the ES8 just works. You just plug it in and it works, and I love that. I was using the Expert Sleepers FH2 before that. I was using also hardware sequencers before that. I was using things like the Eloquencer, Renee, all those kind of things. But I've gone back to the computer and using things like Bitwig and Ableton, just because I guess this is my background, sequencing within a DAW, but getting funky with things like the CV tools and all of that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very modular kind of notion, isn't it? Interesting.
It is, yeah. It just works for me. And okay, it's not a purist modular approach, if you like, but in a sense, it is, particularly working with the grid in Bitwig. It is, like you say, it's a modular environment. I've been building synths in there, sequencers in there, and it just interfaces so well with what I'm doing inside of the box.
So the next step for this technology is to be able to sort of compile those little devices and squirt them into some kind of Eurorack module, so that the ins and the outs and the knobs do stuff that you've set up in the patch, isn't it? I mean, it's like almost pure data or whatever. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, well, I think it's also, that's a good point, Nick. I mean, the other thing is, it's like, well, what I was also getting to a point where I was going out and playing live, and it was like, how do I recall these songs when I go out and play live, which is obviously difficult in a analog domain, if you like. So this system here is kind of pre-patched. It's my performance system, if you like. And the way I've got this set up now is I turn up at a gig, it's already patched. I open up the lid, I connect the ES8 together from my computer using USB, and I go, and all of my funky sequences and envelope shapes and all those kind of things I've just shown you, they're there and they're just ready to go, basically. And
so you're using the Bitwig kind of is the rhythmic or the gating and the envelope recall situation.
Yeah, which I find are usually the things that I want to recall and have ready from the offset for a particular song. They're envelope shapes, and the way you open and close things and the nuances of things, they're the things that really make the track for me. So I was like, how can I have that recallable? And it's all there now. Can you hear this if I turn it up? Let me just, maybe I should give a slight example of this. So if I put...
I can't hear anything at the moment.
You will do.
Not yet.
So we just need that. Ah, that's fine.
Yeah, getting that.
Okay, so for example, I've got this filter over here. Or shall I use the overseer, the torpedo? The torpedo is going to be triggered via these notes here, which are played in Bitwig. Those notes get sent into the grid. That one gets sent into the grid. Simple attack decay. And
okay.
So you do that. I've actually got the sign to it. I was saying I could add into that and mix these together. So now we're just doing this same sequence. But if you add the gates, you add the AD to it.
Yeah, it's hard to hear what you're saying there. I think we've got the gist of it, and hopefully when we combine this with the line level recording, we'll have a good idea of what's going on.
Yeah, so I've just basically combined those two things together now, which are going to this overseer filter in the Eurorack, opening and closing it.
Neat.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool way of working. You'll probably notice as well in my rack, I haven't got any VCAs, and that's because I'm a big fan of using. Where's that coming from? Turn it off. That's because I'm a big fan of just using. Oh, that's me. There we go. Sorry about that. I'm a big fan of using filters as a VCA. As like low pass gates, if you like. I like the sound of them as opposed to just a normal VCA just opening and closing, if you like. It saves room as well, rather than having a VCA and a VCF after everything. So everything is basically gated from a filter to some extent.
Oh, I see. That's an interesting way of doing it. And again, yeah, you could get more stuff going on in there. Well,
Yeah.
so by that token, I suppose the next thing is to say, well, does that mean you could just recall another tune and play us another tune?
Yeah, actually, the other cool thing about Bitwig is you can have multiple songs open at once, and so you just need to activate which song you're on. So I've just stopped sharing the screen there. Well, I'll load that up. But yeah, in theory, I've got another song here. I can load this up. As long as the same inputs and outputs are the same as to where it's going in the modular, which it is, because I leave this patched, then it should work, in theory. Now, there's going to be a few things like I'm not going to quite remember the song. I'm not going to quite remember the structure of the song. Some of the volume levels might be off, like, is that some music coming from somewhere?
Sounds like it. Not me.
Somehow I activated Siri.
Started playing some tunes.
Started playing James Holden. It's quite cool. Yeah, so you just recall it and it starts playing it on your phone. That's what happens.
Excellent.
So yeah, I might not remember the structure of the song. Some of my volume might be a bit out, but what it allows me to do is react to that, and I'm just reacting in real time and sort of learning the song. It allows me to have a bit of fun with it as well. When I used to go out and play live before I got into modular, it felt very much just like playback. You know, you'd set stuff up in Ableton and whatever, and you're triggering scenes and all of that. That's all good, adding effects, filtering stuff, but it still felt very linear and very, very much like the original song would sound. And what this allows me to do is sort of play with it in real time and sort of relearn it and make mistakes as well and come up with new ideas on the fly. So I can try this other one and see what. This is the track that I played the other night for Superbooth, which you can check out on their website as well.
Compare and contrast.
Yeah.
Why not?
See what happens.
Obviously, our version will have the correct audio put into it because, as I say, we're having a little bit of streaming quality issues with the Zoom audio, but we have got a recording that we can recombine and get it sounding just dandy. All right, let's see how it goes.
Cool.
Thanks very much, Matt. Nice one, Matt. I didn't hear all of that because of audio issues, and I just want to say to everybody, don't give up, because we're actually going to end up with a full line, a full stereo line version of this, which we'll upload, so you'll be able to hear it in all its glory, for sure.
Did we lose it?
Yeah, there's some weird stuff with Zoom, but we'll fix it, because if you've got the local recording, then we can just whack that up there. That's going to be no problem.
Yeah, I'm recording it here.
Okay, Matt, thank you so much for doing that. It sounded great, actually, what I did here, but it'll be the big reveal. So, what's next for you?
Yes, well, I think these tracks I'm gonna record down and put these to the label, and hopefully do that, and then do some gigs when we can start playing. I had a few gigs already lined up this year, which I had to cancel, as you know, as a lot of people have. So I'm looking forward to playing live again and getting out there, so you guys can hear this through proper system and not through some weird bandwidth internet. And also, obviously, doing a lot of live streaming. So if you want to head over to my YouTube channel and subscribe to that, I can break this down a little bit more if anyone wants to know how I'm doing this in a bit more detail, using Bitwig and that kind of thing. I'm happy to do that. I quite like it, giving back a little bit more to the community, for those that are interested in doing this kind of stuff. But thanks for having me, and I hope everyone's had a great Superbooth this year as well. I think yourself and the Superbooth crew have done a great job giving us all the fun stuff that we always look forward to this time of year. So yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for doing all that, guys.
Well, you're welcome. And yeah, I want to say thanks to our team here. Andy's been editing like crazy, and Ed, who's been posting some stuff up, and all the people who are involved, and all our sponsors. Thank you to those as well. Obviously, we kind of, wouldn't be able to do this, or we would be able to do it, but we wouldn't be able to eat as well. So thank you very much to all of those people. And Matt, be lovely. I can't wait to get the stereo mix. And like I say, Hank will re-upload this with the full quality audio, and it'll be awesome. Right, cool. That's it for this time, I guess. So we'll see you all. That's the end of our Superbooth. I think that's all our videos done. I got one more. I think I'll interview with Ken Macbeth, which I'll post today. Thanks very much, everybody. See you later.
See ya.